It changed everything for me, and I think it might for you too. So, what is anxiety? Let's start with that, because we throw this word around a lot and it actually means something really specific. Anxiety is a mental and emotional experience. It's the worry, the rumination of what ifs. It gives a lot in the mind, and you're anticipating something bad happening, even when you're physically safe. And it can absolutely create a physical sensation. Racing heart, tight chest, shallow breathing. But what it's at its core is anxiety is the thoughts. And it's really, really common. Like really, really common. And it's also really treatable. Therapy, tools, lifestyle changes, there's so much that can help. But here's where it kind of gets a little interesting. Dysregulation is different, and I think that is where a lot of people get confused, and where I got confused for like a really long time. So dysregulation is a physiological state. It's what happens when your nervous system gets like stuck, either in fight or flight, which feels like activated, anxious, on edge energy, in a freeze or shutdown, which feels like numbness, disconnection, exhaustion, not being able to move. It's your body's actual survival response, and it's not just a thought, it's a belief. It's your nervous system doing exactly what it's evolved to do and to protect you. The problem is that your nervous system can't always see the difference between an actual threat over here and like an emotional one. And things like a hard conversation or a stressful email or a certain tone of voice can just set your body into that survival mode. And when you're dysregulated, thinking your way out of, that it doesn't always really work, because you're not in your thinking brain, you're in a survival brain. So like, how do we know which one we're in though? Okay, so this is the part that I find really helpful, because they can feel similar on the surface, but they're actually very different signatures. Anxiety tends to feel like racing thoughts, worry, spirals, anticipating the worst, restlessness, trouble sleeping, because your mind just does not stop. But dysregulation tends to feel like physical tension or something you can't explain, feeling frozen or checked out, emotional bursts, or feeling very unsafe, feeling frozen or checked out, emotional outbursts that feel disproportionate or very unsafe. You could feel unsafe when you're objectively safe, or exhaustion that sleep just doesn't fix. And here's the thing. You can have both at the same time. And a lot of people have anxiety and also have a dysregulated nervous system underneath it. And treating just anxiety without addressing that nervous system below is putting a Band-Aid over something that needs a lot more care and attention. But Kelsey, what actually helps each one of these? So that's where it gets practical. For anxiety, there's cognitive tools that are really powerful: therapy, journaling, challenging the thoughts, naming the fears, what your mind is and where that is, so you can make that work. But for dysregulation, you need body-based tools, because again, you can't think your way out of a physiological state. And things like slow, deep breathing, specifically extending the exhale, which activates your parasympathetic nervous system, or movement like shaking, walking, dancing, like anything that helps your body discharge the stress response, or cold water on your face or wrists, or even just grounding, like going outside on the grass, or even co-regulation, being near an animal or a person that brings that calmness. These things aren't just wellness trends. There's real science behind why they work. And your body has built-in pathways back to safety. So you just have to learn how to use them. So I spent so many years thinking that there was something very wrong with me and that I was just an anxious person, and that was it. And that was my life. And I was just gonna have to learn how to live with being an anxious person. And learning the difference between anxiety and dysregulation, and learning that my body wasn't broken, but it was just stuck in a pattern of surviving and genuinely trying to help me in the best way. And that was the most freeing thing that I ever experienced, because you're not too sensitive, you're not overreacting, and your nervous system is doing its job. And now you get to help it do that job even better. And if this resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs it, and drop in the comments, which one do you think you experience more? Anxiety, dysregulation, or both? I read everything, and I love having you put your feedback. So I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye. I love you.